Hey, what's up guys? This is Dan with my custom PC build. I made a few videos weeks, maybe months ago at this point about my new build with all the specs and the things I kept and how I felt about it. I ran a few basic benchmarks. As you can see, I got Firestrike going, regular Firestrike going. But I made a few changes. Don't mind all the magic cards. I've been getting back into it. A little collecting, a little playing. So it's a great game if you know about it. Anyways, as you can see, I have a lot of expensive hobbies. It's great to dump money into cars, computers, cards, and all this other fun stuff. But life is short. Enjoy while you can. So I've always been into computers. This is probably my fourth or fifth custom build. This time I have a better job, I'm older, so I have a little more money at my disposal. I wanted to build something nice and something future-proof, so I put this bad boy together. What I have is, let me try to get this glare out of the way. Where to start? CPU is an Intel i9 9900X, so that's a 10-core 20-thread processor. Stock speeds, honestly forget. I think it runs at 4.2 gigahertz, but I have it overclocked stably and very easily to 4.6 gigahertz at all cores at 1.239 volts. So 1.24 volts. Let's just say 1.24 volts. 100% steady, no issues, great temps. 4.6 gigahertz across all cores. It's running great, and I feel like I could go higher, but truthfully I don't need to go higher. It's just a lot of power for what it is. So I overclocked that. The cooler keeps it exceptionally cool. I got the 3-fan Kraken. I think it's the 360 millimeter, but takes up the whole front of my case as an intake. I have the two GTX 1080 Ti's and SLI. Before I go on, I just want to say this cooler has been phenomenal. It works very well. If you have this case and you could accommodate the extra size, I highly recommend it. That is not to say all Krakens are amazing. I mean, I had the, forget their sizes. I think it was 180 millimeters or 260. Either way, I had the next size smaller with the two single larger fans, and after like a week or two of use, I started getting that water gurgling noise. So I unplugged my PC, I flipped it over, I rotated it. Apparently water could get stuck in the pump and in the tubing. So I adjusted it, went away, but I noticed my temp steadily went up, and I'm like, this doesn't seem right. This should be idling at like low mid 20 degrees Celsius. Turns out the pump wasn't pumping 100%, and in CAM, which is the NZXT software, it was showing 0% for pump speed. So I returned it to Micro Center, no issues. I bought this one and I haven't looked back. Like I said, it looks beautiful, does a great job, and keeps it very cool. Keeps the 9900X very cool at 4.6 gigahertz. So as you can see, this is the CPU test. The thing's a beast. I mean, especially at these speeds, I'm getting amazing performance. And for what I'm running at, which is 1440p, 100 hertz or 120 hertz, it's always maxed out. No matter the game, as high as I could possibly push the settings, it's going to be maxed out. So it's more than enough for gaming, and it's phenomenal for workload. If you're into editing, video, software, music, any sort of editing or any heavy workloads, this thing's a beast. It's 10 cores. It's overclockable. And it could game. It could do anything you want it to. So I highly recommend it. And it's an extreme processor for $1,000. Maybe it's less now, but when you look into extreme processors, you're talking about like a few $1,000s. So it's a decent bargain too. Now, that's that. Runs cool. I got the EVGA X299 Dark motherboard. Love it. Looks great. Obviously, I have RGB. I didn't want to overwhelm it with RGB, so I'm kind of glad I went with that. There's so many options now with RGB motherboards. It's just too flashy, so I'm happy with that. I have like I said, two EVGA. I'm really going EVGA here. That's kind of just how the build ended up. Two EVGA GeForce GTX 1080 Ti's, the EVGA bridge, which has 3 colors. There's a switch on that bridge where you could change it to green, blue, white, and red, I think. Now, the one top card on top, as you can see, it's an SE2. That's full RGB. I could change the coloring on that, no problem. The one below, I think, is a Founders Edition. They work fine together in SLI, no problems. But you can't change the color, so I just keep them white. It still looks good. The reason I went with these over a RTX 2080 Ti is because both of these are actually still substantially cheaper and more powerful than the single RTX 2080 Ti. I bought each of these on Facebook Marketplace for like $500. So for $1,000, I have 2 awesome 4K cards in SLI, and I still paid less than the price of a 2080 Ti, and the performance is better, at least for games that support SLI well. SLI is still relevant. A lot of people are against it, but I've had no issues. Like Battlefield 5, SLI is a little wonky. It doesn't really give that much performance, but on The Witcher 3, it's perfect scaling, it's perfect performance. And I play, before I had the Predator monitor, I had a 4K and I played 60 hertz. Everything fully cranked to the fullest maximum, and it never dipped below 60. So even The Witcher 3, which is still a beautiful, high demanding game, displayed 4K at max FPS without a single dip. So it's still great performance, but it really depends on the games. I have Corsair's fans going up and around. That's all controllable through their software. I have the NZXT LED strips, which are synced with the Kraken. That's what I like about NZXT. All their software syncs pretty well. A lot of people aren't a fan of CAM, but it's pretty easy. I mean, I really haven't had any issues, and I like the animations you could put on. So, love the case. Got great ventilation. The way it's set up, like you got your channels in here, so it exhausts the air and it goes into that channel and comes out. You have this channel in here where it sucks the air in for the intake, and it's just a very pretty case. It folds together very well. I got braided wiring for the GPUs, and looks, in my eyes, looks very, very clean. I'm happy with how it came out. Sorry, I'm trying to get the lighting down here because of the glare. But yeah, I got Corsair Vengeance RAM. DDR4, of course, 32 gigs, and I think it's 3200 megahertz. So this was like my dream build. I put it together. I only have a single SSD. I think it's 512, but I added Intel Optane to it because it was so cheap. It was like $25 for the Optane stick, which goes in the M2 slot back there. I think it sped it up a little bit. Not as fast as an M2 SSD, which I could have just did from the get-go, but I already had this with all my crap on it, so I left it. You know, works pretty well. So I ran Firestrike with that current setup. This is my score. As you can see, GTX 1080 Ti's and SLI crank. Got over 50K in graphics score for reference. I think a single RTX 2080 Ti gets like around 40K on a good day on this. Maybe a little less. I gotta double check. But physics score also broke 26K. These are really good scores. I mean, in terms of like high-end overclocking guys who like really push their stuff to the max, this is average. But for everybody else, this is a pretty top end. So let's see where I fare. I haven't ran Firestrike in a while, but check it out. So, without a surprise, better than 99% of all results. 4K gaming PC is scoring 17, 8 gaming laptop, 10, 8, etc. These are my more specific specs. So, currently the GPUs are at stock clocks, but they're hitting 1860 megahertz, which is pretty good. Yep, like I said. Okay, so there you go. The 9900X has a stock base clock of 3500 megahertz. That's my overclocked to 4.6 gigahertz. That's all my RAM, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's really it. As you can see, the thing cranks. I mean, the combination, the CPU/GPU power in this is If you want to build a top tier gaming PC, this is what I chose. This will do everything you need it to do and more. If you're a big gamer and you're all about 4K or just 1440p, high hertz gaming, and you like doing editing or anything else on the side, this is what you should build. It's funny, whenever I'm on Facebook or Craigslist, people are like, oh, top tier gaming PC for sale, and you look at the specs, it's like GTX 1060 and an 8700K. That's not top tier. This is top tier. I mean, not to say the other setup is bad. It gets the job done. That's great, but don't get it confused. I mean, unless you're pushing like I'd say a 1080 Ti or higher, and like a 97. It's a 9700K. Yeah, 9700K or higher. I really wouldn't call it top tier, but if you're just looking at 1080p game, that's fine. Go with the 1060. It's still a good card. A 1070, or an RTX 2060, and then 8600 or 8600. Jeez, it's been a while. I forget it. 8600 or 8700K. Still a great processor. So I got my Corsair keyboard, full RGB. I forget. I think this is the more expensive one. I'm totally throwing a blank, but I like the keys on it. It's not overly clicky. What was this called? The Crossfire? Jeez, I must have Alzheimer's, man. I knew every single thing, like the back of my hand, every single spec, every single name, but it's been a while, so I forget. I got the Razer mouse pad, the Firefly, at least I remember that. My Corsair mouse, I think it was the M65. This thing is a good little mouse, no issues with it. It feels good. I've had it for years already. It works great. The only thing I changed was my monitor. I had, if you look at my other video, I had a 4K monitor, and I liked it. I liked the 4K setup. It fit good, but it was stuck at 60 hertz. And to be honest, if you're playing a game and it's pinned at 60 FPS or 60 hertz, I really didn't see a difference. I wasn't going to lose sleep over it when I could be thinking, oh, I could have more hertz. I could have 144 hertz. Playing The Witcher 3 at 60 hertz or 60 FPS looked beautiful. Didn't hurt my eyes, and I was content with it. I just wanted a more immersive experience, so I actually traded in my 4K. I went with this Acer Predator. It's 1440p, but it's 100 hertz, and it could be overclocked. It's actually an easy setting. All you gotta do is click that to 120 hertz. I'm glad I changed to this monitor because it's just beautiful. The immersion on it, look at the curve. It feels like you're in the game. It feels like you're really one with whatever you're doing. And the extra hertz definitely don't hurt, without a doubt. I mean, everything looks smooth as butter on it. The colors are phenomenal. And I'm very happy with it. If I could have 4K at high hertz, I would. But let's be honest, there's really no options. There's that one monitor that's bulky. I think Asus makes it, and it's still like $2,000. So that is a little unrealistic. Until something better comes out, I'll stick with this. Like I said, 1440p. It looks phenomenal. I highly recommend it. And any game you play in this, what's also cool about this is LED strip. So when I set up, everything is full RGB. That's how I wanted it, because when you get bored of one theme, you change it to another. So I got blue and white going. You can change it to all green, all whatever your heart desires, and it's cool. And the monitor matches it, which is I love. Monitor has a few presets for the colors. You're looking at like basic red, black, blue, white, green, stuff like that. But it's been a few months since I built this. If you watch my other video, you have an idea. You can see the monitor was changed, the colors were changed, a few other things, but everything's been absolutely fantastic. You could do whatever you want with this game. Let me see if I could just pop up The Witcher real quick to show you guys. It's going to take a little bit to load. There's one thing I would change. I would probably have an M2 SSD just for the extra speed, because even my SSD with Optane, you could tell the difference. Like I had a Razer laptop. their gaming laptop, and it had an M2 SSD. It's like night and day, as you guys probably know. Any SSD in that slot, everything just goes immediate. That's probably the one thing I would change, but still, I could live with waiting an extra 10 seconds. So I'm obviously more gaming oriented than like workload stuff, so I figured I'd show you guys this. Where's the graphics? Oh, look at that, everything's set all the way down. Let's crank that up. Unlimited frames, VSync on, that's fine because 100 FPS is more than enough. Everything else is cranked, just the resolution is weird. 1440 post-processing. Alright, so everything else looks cranked. Let's see how it looks. So you're going to see it's going to look fantastic, and the FPS is going to be pinned at 100 because the VSync is on, and that's the current hertz I have set for the monitor. People, professional gamers, claim that high hertz is what you need, and they can see the difference between 144 and 240. I think they're full of shit, to be honest. Anything over like 75 hertz is pretty good. 100's more than enough for me. But just take a look at this. On this screen, with this setup, as you can see, come on, it's just constantly maxed at 100 FPS. It's not going to budge. Absolute max settings. That's what this setup will do. Look at the temps. 37. The CPU just pumps this out with no sweat. So the temps are ridiculous. Ever since I changed my fans, my GPUs don't break like 75C. It's literally perfect. I mean, not to brag or say like this build is better than all yours, but these are suggestions. I mean, if you have money to spend, you're looking to get a good build, this build is phenomenal. And you can choose to play 4K. What's cool is I have a really long HDMI cable, and I just connect it to the top GPU and just play 4K on my TV. So I don't even need a 4K monitor. Whenever I want to play a game with extra eye candy, that's what I do. So it's best of both worlds. But yeah, as you can see, it's just on this screen. I absolutely love it. One more thing. Let's see what we got going on temp-wise. Alright, so as I said earlier, 1.239 volts is what I have it at. 100% stable, never crashed. That's at 4.6 gigahertz. These are the temps. The GPU never broke a max package temp of 68. That's probably from Firestrike. As you can see, all the cores really never broke 60 or low 60s. So all cores were running at 4.6. GPUs were running at 1850 megahertz. And the temps... Where's my other temp? Alright, so the one GPU never exceeded 74 degrees C, and the second GPU never exceeded 70 degrees C. That's the bottom card. Top card's always going to run hotter. It's just how it's designed, or how the heat rises and hits the top card. But this setup does it all. Gaming, editing, workloads, 4K, maximum frame rates, beautiful temps. Very happy with it, and in my eyes, it's one of the ultimate PC builds. That's not ridiculously expensive. So thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. If you have any questions, let me know, and let me know what you guys think. Thank you.